Now, from the Action 4 studios, Sports Director Clay Williams and Joe Bowling bring you the best in Valley High School football from the week past and for the week ahead. Highlights, analysis, and predictions from all across the Valley. It's time for Sunday Sports Extra.
Hello and welcome to Sunday Sports Extra. The regular season has come to an end in 2014. It is time for playoffs, and we're here to tell you about it. I'm Action 4 Sports Director Clay Williams. With me, Action 4 Sports Reporter Joe Bowling, and our special guest, Dennis Silva of the Monitor. Thanks so much for joining us this week, Dennis.
Appreciate you having me.
Oh, absolutely. And if we're going to talk about one team as they're going into the playoffs, you have to talk about, yes, the Rivera Raiders. Unbelievable, this team, what they have done coming into the end of the year. The Rivera Raiders taking on San Benito this past week, and it's unbelievable that this team started 0-5 and has now won 5 straight games, including this fantastic game against San Benito in the rain on Friday night. That's Daniel Elizondo to Edward Rubio, which might be, guys, the best 6A quarterback / wide receiver combination we've got in the Valley, at least in 6A. And the Chavez defense, it's what Rivera has been known for years and years. Rivera gets it done. And Joe, let's start with you on this. What do you think about this Rivera team? I mean, how hot can you be going into the playoffs? Can you be any hotter?
Well, yeah, what do you think? What have I thought all year? We've been saying it. I've been saying it. They're good. They're good, and you don't want to play them when it comes down to a time of playoffs. And San Benito ran into them, and perfect scenario for Tom Chavez. Yes, he gave up some points, which tells you how good the offense must be for San Benito to score that many points. But perfect scenario. What have I got to do to win? I got to send my defense out to stop San Benito on 4 plays, and they executed. And so, therefore, when playoffs come, and he looks them in the eye again and says, you need to do this, 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 and we can win, look out. They're good, and they're coming, folks. They're coming.
I mean, let's look at the playoff schedule real quick before we do anything else. And Dennis, I'll ask you about Rivera in a second. But this is the way it looks, guys. In Division I, 6A, it's La Jolla at Laredo United, Wesco at Harlingen on Friday. McAllen Memorial will take on Del Rio Friday in Laredo. Los Fresnos at Edinburgh North on Friday. And then in Division II, it's with you've got Palmview at Laredo LBJ, San Benito at Wesco East, McAllen at Laredo Alexander, Brownsville Rivera at PSJ North. In 5A, it's Vela at PSJA. That's our Saturday afternoon game, the only one we've got. Donna at Mission Veterans on Friday. Ed Calchelsa at Sherryland on Friday. Mercedes will take on Roma Friday in La Jolla. In 4A, it's La Gruya and Lavernia at A&M Kingsville on Thursday. La Feria and Gonzales Friday at Corpus Christi Flower Bluff. Rio Honda will take on Cuero at Cabanas Field on Friday. Raymondville and Yoakum at Cal Allen on Friday. Port Isabel at Sinton at Kingsville on Friday. And then our 2 3A teams, Lyford will take on Hallettsville. That one at Taft on Friday. And Santa Rosa and Goliad at Sinton on Friday. But back to Rivera. They're doing it with defense. They're doing it with a passing game, and they can do it in the rain. Rivera, 5-5, looking like a 10-0 team at this point.
Yeah, and this isn't the first time we've seen them kind of come up late in the season to make a playoff push. I want the sense of urgency they have in my life. I wish I had some of that urgency, because that's impressive what they're able to do. They're able to get through a tough part of the schedule and still keep their heads up. And for kids, I think that's admirable that they're able to persevere through something like that. Yeah,
in order to keep your team when it's 0-5 and keep them and keep their spirits up and tell them, yes, you have a chance to not only get into the playoffs, but win a district title, a 4-way district title in 32-6A. Dennis, you mentioned this isn't the first time that Tom Chavez has done this. How about last year when Chavez and the Raiders started 0-4, and then they went on to finish 5-7 with a playoff win over McAllen on their way into the second round of the playoffs? Joe.
Yeah, they've won 5 playoff games in a row, folks. That's what they've done. And I told you way back, I think week 3, when they went 0-3, I was like, if you don't think they're good, and if they don't get on a roll when they come at you, ask McAllen what that feels like. And McAllen's probably looking around saying, well, we don't have to play him this year, but whoever does, it's not going to be any fun. They're coming. They've won 5 in a row, and they're all playoff games if you look at it that way.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. But now it's time for the playoffs, and it's time for a rematch, as Rivera will take on the PSJ North Raiders. It will be the Raiders winning one of these games. And Dennis, this one's going to be at PSJA Stadium in Farr Friday night. Raiders versus Raiders. North won the last time, but you have to think Rivera has the edge this time. Maybe. Who have you got winning?
I like North. I like the offense. I like what George Pena has done over there. It's not going to be a blow-up by any means, but it's going to be close.
Yeah, George Pena has to be mentioned in the Coach of the Year. This team was 0-10 last year. This set of Raiders were, so that's pretty impressive as well. Joe?
I saw both phases of PSJ North. I saw the good side, I saw the bad side, and if the good one shows up, it's going to be a great game. But Chavez with another chance to scout him, an extra game to scout him. Rivera.
Yeah, I really like PSG North's quarterback, George Oliveras. He does everything, passes, runs, looks real good. He's the perfect guy for a George Pena offense, but Rivera's just riding too high right now. I've got the Rivera Raiders winning that one. But meanwhile, San Benito has to come off of that loss and 2 straight losses now and go on to their first round of the playoffs for another rematch. Yeah, tons of rematches across the valley in Class 6A. It will be San Benito at Weslaco East. Weslaco East did beat San Benito early on in the season, but Dennis, once again, these are 2 different teams, but they're both coming off of losses. Yeah. How will that factor into this game? Who do you see winning at Bobby Lackey Stadium on Friday?
You know, I don't know how much it will actually factor in. It's the playoffs, and I think both teams are going to be ready. Weslaco East, San Benito has been really impressive under first-year head coach Danny Gomez. But I like East. I like the run game. I like the defense, what they're able to do. And Lupe Marone is just such a headache for defenses. I like what I see there.
Yeah, he's definitely a headache for defenses. And so there's one for Weslaco East. What are your thoughts, Joe, on the game?
Well, what I like is that San Benito found their offense after playing Weslaco East the first time around. And if you don't think they did, again, we talk about Rivera, how good that defense is. They put a 35 spot on them. So they're scoring points. And Weslaco East cannot outscore San Benito. If the offense is rolling, you can't run all night and when you're trying to catch up 21 points down. San Benito.
Well, yeah, that factors in. That's true. But I don't think Weslaco East is going to go 21 points down in this game. I think Weslaco East will start out strong. Darren Rivas will lead the offense down. Weslaco East defense just as good, if not better, than San Benito's. I've got Weslaco East Wildcats winning this game. But let's take a look at the overall schedule, because you also got to think about McAllen and Palmview. Now, what did we learn from McAllen and Palmview on Thursday night? We learned that it gets really wet at Veterans Memorial Stadium when it's coming down in sheets. This game was wet, it was nasty, and it did not have McAllen's starting quarterback, as Fred Hover was out with an injury. Caleb Youngblood, that's him right there, number 10, came in and filled in admirably, took it around there for the quarterback bootleg for the touchdown. But after that, it was all about the McAllen defense, taking that Palmview offense and keeping them down. Now McAllen and Palmview both go into the playoffs, and let's show you that what that side of the schedule looks like as you see it right there. McAllen takes on Laredo Alexander this week. It will be at the Laredo SEC. It will be on Thursday, so they've got one less game. Of course, they just played on a Thursday, so that's no problem. Meanwhile, Palmview has to take on Laredo LBJ. Yeah, look at that side of the bracket, folks. Palmview, Weslaco East, and San Benito all on the same side as number 6 in the state, Brennan, and number 9 in the state, Cibolo Steel. Joe, that's going to be a tough row to hoe.
Yeah, you can't help but just keep staring up there at Cibolo Steel and San Antonio Brennan. You can look at the entire bracket there, but that's all you look at. It's like, so yeah, good news. Hey, you're going to win a game. Next step, though, you're going to get to see how good you really are.
Dennis, I wanted to ask you about LBJ and Alexander. What do you think their chances are against Palmview and McAllen, respectively?
Alexander, I think, has a good chance. They just got their quarterback, Aaron Swain, back. That's why they were able to upset United, force a tie for the district championship over there. I would actually think they're sort of favored, especially when you don't know how Fred Hover at quarterback for Mac High is going to be. Is he going to play? Is Caleb going to be back in there again? Without Fred, I think that makes it tougher for the Bulldogs. LBJ is a lot like Palmview. They rely on the run game. Identical teams, flip a coin. You just don't know who's going to win that game, but it's going to be a good one simply because they're so identical.
All right. Well, that is our discussion of 6A Division II. When we come back on Sunday Sports Extra, we're going to talk about 6A Division I. We're going to talk about, yes, more rematches. Yeah, how about Los Fresnos getting to see a team they saw at the beginning of the season? How will that one turn out? Plus, we'll talk about the Tinaco Bowl and more. It's all when we come back.